What's up, creative community? Once again, this is Lorenzo from the COACHMC studio, and this is the place where we'll help you to shape unique behavior deliveries and where we'll help you to get recognized in the audition room. And today, I'm gonna offer you an acting breakdown of this wonderful mini-series called The Offer that was released earlier this year in April by Paramount Plus. It's a 10-episode mini-series about the production and development of The Godfather. And as always, guys, in our acting breakdowns, it's not about reviewing or denigrating or kind of venerating a product. It's all about analyzing deeply, magnifying and extracting the tools that we can use for our artistic displays. So I'm really pumped to offer you a new acting breakdown with this show today. And if you haven't so far, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell button, as well as, maybe you leave a comment at the end of the show what you thought of this. So without any further ado, let's dive right into it and let's see what's cooking. I'm an acting coach and an actor, and both souls inside of this body, they're trying to tell you guys something. And in my last acting breakdown about the Rings of Power, you can check it out here or there, just click on the link. I was focusing more on the things that really didn't work well. Here, I'm gonna focus on the things that really worked well, because in my opinion, the show is a little masterpiece. Yes, indeed. It's a beautifully made, wonderful show that makes sense from the start till the end. And I've read and heard many things about the show. People were talking about it like it was some self-indulgent Hollywood crap or not realistic or too buffoonish and stuff like that. I don't find that to be true at all. First of all, they're taking some heavy shots at some Hollywood legends such as Bob Evans, Charles Bluehorn, and Elrod himself, and they're exposing and disclosing many dark sides of these people and how they behaved in their environment, and it wasn't pretty at all. So they're pretty realistic with how they're treating these wonderful characters from the past that make movies like The Godfather possible in the first place. So it's not self-indulgent at all, I feel. Even though, the series is packed with wings and inside stories and all that, it kind of refers to that magical era, to that golden era of Hollywood, where Hollywood basically was resurrected by a bunch of crazy filmmakers such as Francis Ford Coppola, Steven Spielberg, Peter Bogdanovich, George Lucas, Marshall Lucas, Dennis Hopper, Martin Scorsese. It was just an amazing era where movie making, storytelling, and producing films was revolutionized by these crazy new filmmakers, right? I don't feel it was unrealistic at all, because if you read some of these biographies by all these famous people, if you kind of dive into the source material and really discover what the 70s were all about, I think they went even like slightly tampered with it, because it was crazy back then. And so to me, it's not too buffoonish at all. It has its humor. It works fine. I'm gonna tell you right from the bat, everything is in the right place. Everybody is doing the right thing, and everything happens with the right pace, with the right rhythm, with the right speed, with the right dynamic. So overall, it's a fantastic series. It's absolutely every second worth a watch. And now we're gonna dive into the acting breakdown, because like I said, it's all about analyzing, magnifying, and implementing what's most useful to us actors, right? And there are three main reasons to me why this show works so well. So let's tick it off. The first main reason why this series works so well is because of its main character, Al Ruddy, who was the producer back then in the 70s who produced The Godfather, and was also the producer of The Offer, alongside its lead star, who is Miles Teller, who's interpreting Al Ruddy. So this is kind of a nice combination right there. His character is smartly written. He was set in the middle of the story. He works as some sort of interoperability type of connector to all the other characters, to all the other players and NPCs in the series. He's the emotional anchor of the story, and we as an audience, we can always fall back onto his character, where we can appreciate the more calm, more important scenes in a sovereign way, and then get back to the craziness, to the turmoil, and to the mayhem that is happening all around him 24/7 throughout the 10 episodes. And this jump in, jump out type of system, this way of connecting all the characters through his eyes, through his story, moves the plot forward very nicely, very smoothly, gives us always time to kind of breathe in and exhale a little bit and kind of digest everything that happened before, and also catapults us into the next element of the story where we explore new adventures. And what was so great about this, that Miles Teller interpreted Al Ruddy in this very nice, smooth, calm, slick, meaningful, knowing type of way. It was nice to follow him through his eyes to see what he was up to. Because you see, if you are growing up on set, you realize that the function of the producer is a function that most people tend to overlook. People think that the producer is just somebody who, who gives out the money, who signs the contract and looks after things on set. But actually, if you really look into the story and appreciate the magnitude of his actions and you're enjoying the plot, you realize how important he was to kind of give birth to a vision, to really transform the vision of Francis Ford Coppola, the vision of Mario Puzo, the vision of Gulf Western, the vision of Bob Evans into this wonderful movie that was appreciated over 50 years. Exactly. We're celebrating the 50th anniversary of The Godfather this year, which is easily still one of the greatest movies of all times. You could call it a landmark masterpiece. Francis Ford Coppola directed something incredible. Every scene is a painting. The play and the game of light and darkness, referring to all the single characters and how the story moves on, exploring the life of these mobster families back then in New York City. It's just an amazing story. Till this date, it hasn't lost anything, like even a grain of its appeal, of its glamour, of its panache, of its flamboyance. And this is also because of the work of El Ruddy, because of his insistence of creating something magnificent to give magic to the people. And imagine, back then in the 70s, El Ruddy was just starting off in Hollywood. He had just produced Hogan's Heroes previously to that, and he started as a software engineer at a company, so he wasn't really part of entertainment industry before he got into this very, very important and responsible position of producing The Godfather. Lord and behold, crazy things happened around him. And so for us as actors, it's great to see that there is one figure, one character, one role that leads the way, that slowly breaks the ice, like at the North Pole. And everybody else is following up, everybody else is interacting with him, and he makes things possible. So Miles Teller's way of having that open, sincere and calm demeanor and showing everybody his screen projection so everybody could project his own thoughts into this character of Miles Teller, El Ruddy, was a magnificent move, I think, from the screenwriters as well, because it gave calm to the story, but at the same time it moved the story forward, and then we could always enjoy the more buffoonish and comedic parts of the story when we were kind of exploring the story writing process, when we were exploring the location direction process and all that. And all these missions El Ruddy had to fulfill on a daily basis in order to make this film come true. It's kind of a nice way and pays a great homage to this wonderful job description of being a producer and at the same time interpreting as a human being something that glued people actually together and said he was the pumping heart of this production, and this kind of shines through in this miniseries as well. And Miles Teller did enormously well in interpreting El Ruddy and his incredible achievement, his incredible mission. And so we can take that directly out of this movie and implement it for our own artistic display. Stay calm, always look forward, keep your eyes open, serve as a projection canvas for the audience. Let them see what you are thinking. Move forward calmly, quietly, and importantly, and never fall back and evolve with the story. So we as an audience, we can perceive the hero's journey, we can learn through your challenges how to react, and we can understand your behavior in the future when you have again to tackle something dangerous and overcoming the obstacles in order to make your hero quest fulfilling and having that catharsis in the end. Great work by the screenplay department, great work by Miles Teller, and great work in generally like a smart move on how to set up the whole story plot right from the start. Second main reason why The Offer works so well is because the actors are listening to each other. They are always connected. They're always looking each other in the eyes. They are coming in. They're establishing connection right away. And even if they're not looking at each other, you can sense as an audience that they're always connected, that they're always elaborating, always kind of tinkering about something and giving that back to the other character in the scene. And the other character is picking that up and implementing that into his reaction, into his behavior, into his demeanor, and then giving it back to the other character as well. And so what happens is what I'm always talking about here at the COACHMC studio. And by the way, have you subscribed so far? No? Make sure to do that. I'm always talking about to create that chain reaction of events. One action triggers a reaction, and that reaction triggers a new action, and that action, and so on and so forth. And then you have this chain reaction type of dynamic. It's like an assembly chain, and you can follow this as an audience. You can follow through and understand what's going on. on. And that's so beautiful because you get oscillations, because you get dynamic, you get traction inside of the scenes. It's nice to watch what the characters are giving and taking, and you get what you give, right? So this is exactly what happens here. It sounds simplistic. It sounds like acting school day one, but this is actually what acting is all about. Staying connected throughout the scene. There is one little scene where both main characters, Francis Ford Coppola and El Ruddy, they are just listening to what the audience, to how the audience is reacting inside of that movie theater, but they are listening while the doors are closed, just standing in front of that door, and they're just listening. And basically that's it. And that's the magic of movie making. You got two actors who know their craft very, very well, and they're connected with each other. They are taking and giving and giving and taking by looking each other in the eyes, by listening, by kind of feeling what the other character is going through, and then kind of helping and sustaining themselves, each other out in this very moment. And just to watch that for a couple of seconds was so beautiful. It was so engaging. It was so important. And you had so much involvement in that scene without having big effects or shootings or anything or violence or anything else. There was not even text, and it was entertaining. Besides the director and the plot also being very well written and all that, I think you can sense that these actors were working with each other. Also behind the scenes, on their days off, throughout rehearsals, they were really working with each other, really reacting to each other, really liking each other. You can tell they had a lot of fun. When the pacing is so on point, when the rhythm works so well, when everybody's doing the right thing at the right moment and kind of reacts in the way you expect them to react, because that's exactly how you would react. When everything happens so spontaneously and pops up so naturally, you can tell these actors like to work with each other. The chemistry, I think, was great on set. That's also a great lesson that we can learn right away. Put some extra hours, put some extra effort into your craft, into your work, into your scene, into your development of the character. Don't take yourself too seriously or too big or too low. Just get to the point, get to the core, make that connection happen and stay connected throughout the scene and see where this kind of gets you and brings you. Because this is the beauty of acting, of being realistic and authentic and impactful in front of the lens or on stage. It's kind of to be together. For sure, The Offer is an ensemble piece. It's a creative collective that throughout 10 episodes did a marvelous job in staying connected throughout this whole project. And they showed in every scene, they showed some little details, some little wings, some little insider moves and notes that were carried out throughout the story. So well written, well directed, but for sure the actors were also playing very well alongside each other. So that's something that we definitely could take away from this show right away and implement it in our own acting craft. The third main reason why this worked so well, humor. Michael Shurtleff once said, humor is the expression of a character that likes to deal with the world instead of killing himself, right? So despite all the difficulties, despite all the mishappenings, the failures, the slip-ups, the mistakes, despite all that, you can keep your smile alive, you can keep your humor, and that shows me that you are a human being, that you are smart, that you're intelligent. And humor throughout this series in all 10 episodes was like a major part. Am I saying that it was all funny? No. But every character had its own humor, its own irony, its own sarcasm. Everybody was working with his body, had some slapstick moves. Everybody was telling something with his character in this way as well. So there was a lot to think about, a lot to wonder about, and to kind of ask yourself, wow, what kind of job is this? Being an actor or being a producer or being a director. Why on earth should I do this, right? Because it's so funny also. The process itself, it's so inspiring and marvelous. And all these actors, they were inserting humor on top of their own respective performances, on top of their lines, on top of what was requested throughout the scene. Every character interpreted humor in its own peculiar way. Somebody was more simplistic and stoic with it. Somebody was more slapstick-wise like with it. Somebody was a bit more clumsy with it, but it was all used in a very smart way by all of the actors that were involved in the process of making this marvelous series. So humor was a big part of, in my opinion, of the success, of the visual success of the story. That's something we should always include. Not to dilute your character, not to liquefy the seriousness of your character. Quite the contrary, to emphasize, to accentuate, to bring more dynamic and traction to the drama of your character. Because never forget that humor is just drama written with a mirror. Where the drama ends, the humor starts, and vice vice versa. And this is exactly what happens in the series. Everybody has its own moments of fun, of entertainment, of humor. I think it's well balanced and super nicely compensated by the directing, by the setup, by the story itself. Because I'm such a friendly guy, I want to leave you with a bonus tip. If you are new to this and you want to be part of movie making of magic, then you have to understand everybody plays a fundamental, a crucial part, an instrumental function to the development of a movie. And that goes from the last person who is just the assistant of the props designer to the lead character and his assistant and his coaches, and to the huff and puff department, to the lighting department, to the script supervisors out there, to the directors, to the producers, to everyone. So if you're new to this, watching the series and understanding how each and every department needs to kind of be intertwined and kind of links into this chain of events in order to develop the movie, that shows us a great deal of how it is a collaboration between forces, and how when we study these departments and work with them and go alongside with them and understand where they're coming from, they probably understand also better where we're coming from, and out of this only great things can be born. Our performance starts with light, starts with props, starts with costumes. It starts with the context of everything. Once you understand the context better, how departments have to work with each other, what a director needs to do in order to push through his decisions, maybe you understand also better why certain things inside of the development are not allowed, why you can't go into a direction or the other. Instead of being offended, now you understand, and now you're getting generous with your product. Instead of being jealous that somebody else becomes more important eventually, now you understand how you can support him and get better in the process as well as the kingmaker. So everybody has its own right, its own space, its own light to shine. And this is the beautiful part. It's not just about one single unit, it's about all the units coming together, creating magic. That's what we're here for. And I hope you like this video, guys. Make sure to subscribe, ring the notification bell. Also leave me a nice comment in the comment section down below what you thought about this. Follow my other adventures on Twitter and on Instagram, where it's the COACHMC, and on TikTok, where it's the TikTok Acting Tactics. If you got a project you want to work on, let's call it a self-tape, let's call it an audition, let's call it a monologue, just hit me up through my website. Write me a nice email. It's the COACHMC.studio. It's very easy. You just jump there, you write me a nice email, you wait for my response. We jump into a free trial lesson of 30 minutes. We find out if we're a great match for each other. Bada boom! The adventure can start. See you next time, guys. Thank you so much. And now you're ready to perform.